Hello everyone. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about the derivation and an example of how we can apply this idea that we're going to go over in order to derive kinematics equations. So the topic of the day is kinematics equations, which is really the reason that Newton invented calculus. So we're going to take a calculus-based approach to this derivation. And we're going to start right here. So this XVA diagram is what we call the XVA diagram, summarizes the entire kinematics. X denotes position, V in one dimension, so we can plot that X on the y-axis position on the which represents the position of the particle on the number line versus time, velocity, which is instantaneous velocity, which is the derivative, the time derivative of position, and a is acceleration, which is the time derivative of velocity, instantaneous acceleration. So, and if we want to take, so in order to go forward from x to v, we take time derivative d over dt, such as we can write v equals to dx dt, or a equals to dv dt, which is also the second derivative of x with respect to t. Now, you notice here that I placed a vector sign on top of x, v, and a to denote that these are in fact a vector. So we are also in other videos talking about the difference between scalars and vectors. And in this particular lecture today, we're going to be looking at these vectors, x, v, and a. And in order to go the other way, we can use integration. So two of main kinematics equations, which are basically definitions, come from this XVA, the blue colored arrows, going from x to v by taking the time derivative of x with respect to t, and going from v to t, v to a by taking the time derivative of v with respect to t, or the second time derivative of x with respect to t. So what we're going to do next, we're going to use the opposite arrow. So let's say we're going to go over the derivation of kinematics equation for constant acceleration. So acceleration being constant, we're going to start at the right side of this chain. So we're going to call this the XVA chain. It's got the middle link there is the velocity, the left link is position, and the right link is acceleration. We're going to start with acceleration because we are considering acceleration to be constant. And by definition, number one, by definition of acceleration, we know that a equals to dv dt. We can cross multiply essentially and get that dv equals to a dt, then integrate this on both sides using definite integral. We can use it both definite or indefinite, but in this case, we're going to take the definite integral approach, and we're going to go from v naught on the left-hand side, from v naught, which is the initial velocity, to v of t, which is a variable, v as a function of t, and then on the right-hand side, we're going to go from 0 to t. And when we do that integral, we get at plus v naught equals to v of t, and that will be the first main kinematics equation for constant acceleration. Constant acceleration, as you'll see in the example we'll go over momentarily, is very interesting and very useful for us because it applies to a host of problems, including free fall problems, which is the example we'll look at once we introduce the equations. So that's going to take care of our first equation. And the feature of this first equation is that it's independent of x. So each of the equations we're going to be deriving is going to be independent of one of the kinematic variables, x, v, or t. And we're going to look at exactly how it's going to happen. So x, v, or t, exactly. So then the second equation is going to be when we go from the middle link v to x by taking the integral of v with respect to t. And so here we did this as a definite integral, and we cross-multiplied as before, v equals to dx dt, cross-multiplying that. For v, we're going to plug in the v we found in step 1 in equation 1. So when we integrate that, we get x of t equals to 1 half at squared. X naught, by the way, here is the initial position. Usually that is 0 if we pick that to be the origin. But if there is an initial position, initial displacement, we're going to add that and we're going to start with that. So that's going to serve as an offset in our position vector. And even though I'm not carrying the vector sign throughout these calculations, we are aware that these are vectors pointing either in the positive I hat or negative I hat direction, either in the positive x direction or negative x direction. So this will take us to the second kinematics equation, which is x of t equals to 1 half at squared plus v naught t, v naught being the initial velocity, plus x naught. And this equation, its feature is that it's independent of v. The first one was independent of x. So you'll see when we use these, this information becomes useful. We're given some information and we want to solve for something, and we want to already start with something that one of these equations that is the most convenient for us and we have the most amount of information for. So moving on to the third equation, it's a little bit more complex, this one, in terms of derivation, but bear with me for this. So a equals to dv dt, we start there again, and we have that v equals to dx dt. So we have that forward chain starting from x. What we do, we apply the chain rule. So we're going to go ahead and say dv dx. So we're taking the derivative of v with respect to x equals to dv dt times dt over dx. Now dt over dx is 1 over v. So as you know, as you see here, v is dx over dt. So 1 over that, which is dt over dx, is 1 over v. So we identify that as 1 over v. And dv dt is a, which in this case is constant, so it's constant acceleration. So we write that as a. So underneath that, in green color, we wrote those. So therefore, we have dv dx equals to a times 1 over v. Then we do separation of variables. This is a differential equation where we can use separation of variable. We bring dv and v to one side, a and dx to the other side. We integrate definitely from v naught to v and from x naught to x, denoting that both x and v, of course, are the variables here. And we go ahead and integrate that. We get, on the left-hand side, we get 1 half parentheses v squared minus v naught squared. And on the right-hand side, we get a equals a times x minus x naught. And then we go ahead and multiply both sides by 2 and move v naught squared to the other side. And we get this final version that we are going to use is the third version, and is independent of time. This one is independent of t. V squared equals to v naught squared plus 2a x minus x naught. So these are the three main kinematics equations that we showed you the derivation for using calculus. And really, this is why Newton invented calculus, to write these equations as a first step. Then he applied it to other ideas and expanded on it within physics as well. But this was one of the main first steps in inventing mechanics. So here we can apply this kinematics equation of constant acceleration to the following example. So this is going to be what we call a free fall motion, where the acceleration equals to g equals to 9.8 meters per second squared. The question is, Tommy tosses a tennis ball straight up in the air with the initial velocity of 2 meters per second and catches it when it falls right back to his hand. So we're asking two questions for this. number one, part A, how long will the ball be in the air? And part B, how high will the ball reach? How high will the ball reach before it falls back to the ground? So Tommy's tossing his tennis ball straight up in the air. Here's Tommy, straight up with an initial velocity of 2 meters per second, tossing a ball straight up in the air. So let's call that point one. Then at point B, which is corresponding to part B, this is the highest the tennis ball will reach in the air. We're going to call that point two, or point B, simply point B. And then the ball will come back down, straight back down. But here we're just exaggerating. We're giving it an arc to, because it's difficult to write the same information on the same line. So just take a note that he's not tossing it with any angle. It's going to come straight back down, and we're asking what is the total flight time? What was the total time it was in the air? And that's part A. TA equals question mark. So the two questions we have is how long was it in the air and how high did it reach? First, we're going to answer how long did it stay in the air. So if we apply the equation number 2, with A equals to G, basically. So equation number 2, let's go back to it. So equation number 2 was x of t equals to 1 half at squared plus v naught t plus x naught. So all of that is pretty easy to adjust for this problem. Namely, we're going to call it y instead of x because it's vertical, and we like to call vertical displacement and vertical position y and horizontal position x. So we're just going to call the letter y of t equals to 1 half. A is going to change to g because the value is gravitational constant. T squared is going to remain the same, plus v naught, we know what that is. That's the 2 meters per second times t. And then the y naught initial point is just 0. That's going to be our origin. So when we go to the diagram, one of the main features is we define y to be 0 right at where he tossed the ball, where he launched the ball. And so the how high it's going to go is going to be when it comes back down, back to that position, y equals 0. So we said y of t, which is equal to negative 1 half. Now the negative sign is because y, positive, we're going to define it to be pointing up, and g, which is gravitational acceleration, is pointing down as a vector. So its magnitude is 9.8, but its direction is negative. So we enforce that negative sign. We could also simply go here and say g equals to negative 9.8, and that can take care of it. But either way, let's remember that g is a vector, it's an acceleration vector, and that vector is pointing down in the negative direction. So we have to carry that negative sign for it. Plus v naught is in the positive direction, is pointed up, times t. So we set that equal to 0, we factor out t, and solve for the two solutions. So t equals 0 is one of the solutions, and it makes sense. This is when the ball was tossed, right? The moment where the ball was launched, that's t equals 0. We already know that. That's not the interesting one for us. Then what we do, we solve negative 1 half gt plus v naught equal to 0 for t, and we get 2 v naught over g. So we add negative v naught to both sides, and then we multiply both sides by negative 2 over g, and we get 2 v naught over g. Here next to it, I check the units. So 2 doesn't have any units here, but v naught has the units of meters per second. G carries the units of meters per second square, and we cancel the units and we find that the result will carry the units of seconds. This is a very important step. We call it the unit check. We always carry this check to make sure that whatever algebraic expression we're deriving at least makes algebraic sense. At least it could work. If the units don't work out, you got to double check the algebra. Then we went ahead and plugged in the values. V naught was 2 meters per second. We plugged that in. G was 9.8. In terms of magnitude, again, in terms of magnitude, so we enforce the negative sign outside there already. So that's just 9.8 meters per second square. And we got 0.408 seconds that the ball is in the air. So it's a very interesting problem. You're tossing a ball in the air. You're asking how long will it stay in the air if I know its initial velocity, and how high will it reach? That's part B. In terms of how high it will reach, we notice that when it reaches point B, which is the top point right here, velocity is zero, right? It needs to momentarily stop before it goes straight back down. So on the way up, both acceleration, which is pointing down, always gravity, and velocity v naught, and then the velocity keeps getting smaller because acceleration is pointing down, so it's going against velocity. The object slows down until it gets to v naught, v equals zero at the very top. So if we set our third equation, v squared equals, so the third equation was v squared equals to v naught squared, which is 2 meters per second, plus 2g y, 2gy, or we're going to call it hb here. Hb is the height it reaches at that point. So we're just going to use, or just simply h. So we're going to use that. So we have v squared equals to, again, the negative sign because of the direction of the acceleration, gravitational acceleration, negative 2gh plus v naught squared. We set v to 0 and we solve for h. We get v squared over 2g. We do the dimension check up here. V squared is meters squared per second squared. G is meters per second squared. Second squares cancels. Meter cancels with meter squares, and you get a meter for the unit, which makes sense unit wise. So h, the height, is going to be 0.204 meters. I hope this lesson was useful. I will follow up this lesson with more lessons on ideas of physics and math, as well as computer science and chemistry. See you next time.